Law Weekly looks at the provisions of a bill by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration Control, NAFDAC. The bill, which is currently before the Federal Executive Committee, FEC, seeks to provide for more stringent punishments and remove the incentives for drug counterfeiting. The Director General of NAFDAC, Dr. Paul Orhii, who is a qualified lawyer, will join me shortly on the program to talk more about the NAFDAC bill and the provisions aimed at strengthening the activities of the agency in its quest to rid the country of fake and counterfeit drugs. Before that interview, though, let's do a quick recap of some of the top stories in the news. I'm Shola Sheyeli, and this is Law Weekly on Channel 10. We begin at the Supreme Court, which last week Friday upheld the elections of Governor Rochas Okorocha of Imo State and Governor Emmanuel Uduaghan of Delta State. In two separate trials, the five-man panel of the Apex Court, headed by Justice Sylvester Nguta and Mohammed Tanko for the two appeals, dismissed the judgments of the Court of Appeal and affirmed that of the state election tribunals in the two states. The two judges dismissed the appeals on the grounds that both were delivered outside the 60-day window allowed by the Constitution. The judges cited Section 285 of the Nigerian Constitution as amended and held that the Court of Appeal is not competent to give judgment on an appeal from the verdict of a tribunal outside 60 days. The Supreme Court also noted that though the Court of Appeal had given its judgment within the stipulated time frame, it waited too long to give reasons for the judgment. The court said that since the judgment and its reason is one and the same, the action of the Court of Appeal became null and void and could not stand. In the words of the Supreme Court, a court whose judgment is appealable must give its judgment and the reasons for it together to avoid judicial anarchy. Former Governor Ikedi Hakim had challenged the victory of Governor Rochas Okorocha in Imo State, while Mr. Great Ogboru of the Democratic People's Party (DPP) had challenged the victory of Governor Emmanuel Uduaghan. Staying with political issues, a federal high court in Abuja has fixed the 29th of July to decide if the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) erred by delisting the Fresh Democratic Party. At the resumed hearing of the case last week Tuesday, counsel to the Fresh Democratic Party, Mr. Fred Agbaje, argued that even though the electoral body has a supervisory and regulatory power over political parties in the country, the body went outside its powers in delisting the party. Counsel to INEC, Mr. Ibrahim Bawa, however, maintains that by virtue of Section 78, subsection 7 of the Electoral Act, INEC has the right to delist parties. He asked the court to hold that the Fresh Democratic Party failed to comply with the provisions of the Electoral Act and the Constitution, and therefore the deregistration was proper. From issues of political parties to public funds, on the 10th of July, the Delta State government will make its case for the ownership of the $15 million bribe money recovered from the former governor of Delta State, Mr. James Ibori. The money was said to have been offered as bribe by the former governor in 2007 to the former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, to compromise on the probe of a fraud allegation against Mr. Ibori. The federal government on the 24th of July 2012 had obtained an interim order that the money be forfeited to it, pending the time anyone who may lay bona fide claim shows cause of legitimate ownership at the court. However, in an application filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja, the Delta State government claimed that the money rightly and legitimately belonged to it, and that the court should order its return to its treasury. From issues of politics to security, the federal government last week filed a formal charge of 6 counts against the 3 Lebanese being held over alleged terrorism activities. The government said that the 3, Abdullahi Taini, Mustafa Fawaz, and Taha Roda, belong to the military wing of Lebanon-based Hezbollah. The 3 are being held for their alleged unlawful importation and stockpiling of firearms and ammunition. The suspects have, however, slammed a fundamental human rights violation suit against the government, alleging that their arrest and detention was illegal. They also faulted the closure of their business premises by security agents, demanded for a public apology from the defendants to be published in 3 national dailies, and 50 billion naira as compensation. Presiding Judge Justice Adeniyi Ademola has adjourned further argument on the matter to the 24th of June. And we round off with the case of illegal importation of arms into Nigeria for which 15 Russians were arrested and arraigned before the court on February 19 this year. Last week, the Federal High Court in Lagos released 9 out of the 15 Russians. The trial judge, Justice John Soko, set the foreigners free after the counsel representing the Attorney General of the Federation informed the court that the federal government was withdrawing the charges filed against them. The counsel, however, failed to give reasons why their names were dropped from the trial.
You see, life has just got easier. You stay connected to Channels TV, where news and innovations are shaping our world. Simply log on to channelstv.com to get the breaking news. Browse the homepage according to what matters to you. Tap on the extended coverage of business, sports, politics, lifestyle, infotech, entertainment, health, world news, and lots more. Click on the live link and see the news in real time. Do you want to watch the latest video of the day? It's just a click away. Friend us on Facebook, YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Google+, participate in Channels TV poll and share your comments. It's a website you can talk to. Your voice will be heard.
channelstv.com. The news at your fingertips.
Welcome back. Let's begin our interview with the NAFDAC DG with a bit of background. In what some have regarded as an historic feat, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, under the leadership of Dr. Paul Orhii, secured in May 17 this year a court judgment against the manufacturers of My Pikin baby feeding mixture, which was said to have killed about 80 Nigerian children in 2008. A federal high court in Lagos, presided over by Justice Okechukwu Okeke, ordered the firm Barewa Pharmaceutical Company be compulsorily wound up in line with the provisions of the law and its assets forfeited to the federal government. Justice Okeke, now retired, also sentenced the firm's production manager Adeyemo Abiodun and the quality assurance manager Egbele Romosele to 7 years each for conspiracy to sell dangerous drugs, and also handed them another 7 years for selling dangerous drugs. Both sentences were to run concurrently. The judge discharged and acquitted them of the remaining 4 counts relating to adulteration, manufacturing, and distribution. The law on which the accused persons were tried was the Miscellaneous Offences Act M17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. The offences were punishable under some sections of the same act. The judgment has been widely hailed as a boost to the fight against the sale of adulterated drugs, but there are many who believe that the executive and the legislative arm of government needs to strengthen the war against manufacturing, distribution, and sale of fake drugs in the country through a review of relevant laws that will prescribe stringent punishments to serve as deterrents. NAFDAC has initiated the process of the review of its law at the level of the executive, with a draft copy of the reviewed law waiting to be sent to the National Assembly for consideration and passage into law. The Director General of NAFDAC, Dr. Paul Orhii, joins me on the program now. I began the interview by asking him to explain the weaknesses in the current NAFDAC Act.
Current law gives a maximum penalty of 15-year jail term, and an alternative is just 500,000 naira fine for very serious offenses, including faking of products that sometimes end up killing thousands of people. We thought that that was not stringent enough to serve as a deterrent to some of these criminals. So that is what informed our call for a review of that law.
Okay, but apart from that, what are the other provisions that this new law has?
Well, for this new law, we are requesting that, personally, I had wanted death penalty, because as far as I'm concerned, a counterfeiter is worse than an armed robber. An armed robber, when he confronts you, most of when he either offers you either your life or your money, and if you give them the money, most of when they let you go. But the counterfeiter does not give you that option. He takes your life and takes the money, the little money that sometimes you don't even have, but have to go and borrow from somewhere or even beg. So I would have wanted them to be shot like armed robbers. Unfortunately, I had to come to terms with civil rights activists, because when we assembled the committee to come up with a draft made up of very senior advocates of Nigeria, Institute of Advanced Legal Studies, some people felt that death penalty is no longer fashionable globally. And so we came to the middle ground. Just like in India, we want lifetime jail and confiscation of assets of the offender, realizing that at the heart of counterfeiting lies the incentive to make huge profits. So we want lifetime jail, the assets to be confiscated if they are convicted, and in situations where we can prove that the fake product approximately caused death or severe bodily injury, then some of the assets confiscated, the percentage should be used to compensate the victims. We also want to build a whistleblower clause in the law so that people encourage Nigerians to come forward with information that will lead to the interception of these products. So the whistleblower should be there to protect the person who gave us the information. And we should be able to legally reward people who come forward and give us the information and help us to successfully prosecute these cases. So we are adding that there. We also want the offense to be a non-bailable offense, to put the incentive of speedy trial on the accused, because some of these people are very, very rich, and if you do not, if the offense is bailable, they give the best lawyers, and within the short term they are out on bail.
And the next thing, they bring an application to travel for medical treatment, and trial is stalled,
and every all those, and you can, like in the situation where we intercepted fake drugs that were declared as made in India, but who actually originated from China. We took up the matter why the distant Chinese sentenced their own citizens, 6 of their own citizens, to death for the manufacture and shipment of that container to Nigeria. The Nigerian who actually went to China and requested and took some of the most popular Indian medicines that are moving in Nigeria and went to China and said that they should manufacture the counterfeit of it so that he can come and kill Nigerians. He ran away. When we finally caught him, the very next day he was out on bail. And the case has been going on and on and on and on from 2009. We have not even reached the middle of the case yet. So we wanted to put the incentive of speedy trial on them. And so we were asking for either the offense should be non-bailable or special courts should be designated to speedily try these cases.
From what you've said, the bill is very desirable, but what is responsible for the delay in presenting it to the National Assembly? Because recently the Chairman, Senate Committee on Health, warned that the bill may not be passed if the delay continues.
Well, it is a lengthy process trying to change the law. Changing the law is a very lengthy process. First, we assembled a committee of the best legal minds in this country to come up with a draft of the bill. So they came up with a draft of the bill. Then we had to have a stakeholders meeting to come and evaluate this draft and make their inputs. So we convened that meeting. Stakeholders came, we presented the bill, and they made their inputs. Then we had to take it to the Ministry of Health to look at it as our supervising ministry. The Ministry of Health also looked at it. Then they had to take it to the Ministry of Justice to look at the bill. The Ministry of Justice looked at it and then made a draft. Now the final draft has to go to the Federal Executive Council because we want to pass it as an executive bill. So once we submitted it to the Federal Executive Council looked at it and made some suggestions for change, some things to be changed. And we have done that. Now it is gone back for scheduling for Federal Executive Council to reconsider it and then ultimately decide whether they want to send it to the National Assembly. So right now it is with the Federal Executive Council. And it is, of course, we have no powers to push it further. Once you have submitted the matter to the Federal Executive Council, it becomes their own bill.
So you wait until they are through with it before?
Yeah, we have to wait until the Federal Executive Council consider that bill. And you know that they have a lot of other competing things on their table. So once they pass it, they will now be the presidency that will now forward it to the National Assembly for consideration.
Apart from the recent My Pekin conviction that we've seen, there's also say that it appears that NAFDAC is not chasing the big guns or prosecuting the big guns. What's responsible for NAFDAC not going after the big guns?
It is because people are not coming forward with the information about the big guns. We catch everybody, we catch the people who we see with the medicines. I have told members of the public, if you know of any big guns and you can have a credible information that will lead to the arrest, bring it to NAFDAC. Those same people who tell you that the big guns are behind, and maybe they know some of these big guns, but none of them has come forward with information, and none of them has come to say that, look, I gave you information, credible information about this big gun, gave you the evidence, and you did not act on it. So if you bring the information about the big gun, give us credible evidence. Just like what we have, those people that we have arrested, all of them, we have credible evidence. We caught them in the act. That's the only way we arrest them. So if the big guns are smart enough to be hiding behind, but I believe that if we continue to arrest their foot soldiers, ultimately they will run out of willing foot soldiers to carry out their businesses. So even arresting their foot soldiers, I think it's a good step. Ultimately, they will run out of good foot soldiers to carry out the businesses. They may come themselves. If we pull the ear, the head will follow. So right now, we might be pulling the ear, but the head will follow very soon.
Do you think it would help if the agency has an armed investigating unit like the NDLEA? Because there are those who say that the police is outside the control of NAFDAC, and if there's an armed investigating unit that is different, it would help the work of the agency.
So far, we have worked very well with the police. We have the police, not just the police, they are attached to our enforcement unit. We have enforcement and investigation unit in NAFDAC. And we have those officers working there. They are trained with the SSS, in fact, at the Nigerian Security Institute, they have been trained. Many of them have been trained. So we attach them, they attach the police to that unit, and it is the unit that does investigation and arrest. I think so far we have a very good working relationship with them. In the future, maybe we can consider having our own armed officers, but for now, we are working very well with the Nigerian police, who are cooperating with us, who help us very well. And you can see in the number of arrests that we make within a short time, almost every week now we're parading people who have been arrested. So I think so far we're happy with what is going on.
Finally, what's the level of cooperation that you're getting from the judiciary? I know that you've advocated recently that there should be special courts to try some of these cases, but what's the level of cooperation so far?
I think the judiciary is working very, very well with us. In fact, within these 4 years that I've been here, we have won so many major victories at the courts that have allowed us to operate. For example, immediately I came here, there are so many other things that we don't even mention, but that have helped us to operate. When I came here, we had our warehouses, all of them full to the brim. We had nowhere where we see products we could take to. And all those were pending cases because of the evidence in pending cases. What I did was to approach the judiciary and tell them that some of these products have been arrested, have stayed for almost 8 years. Even if the case goes against NAFDAC, these people cannot sell this product because they are expired, long expired. And they just filmed the evidence and then allowed us to destroy this evidence and free our warehouses so that we can bring new products. I think that's cooperation. We also have won, since I came within 4 years, we have won more than 5 major victories, convictions. Apart from that, we had a judge in Calabar sentence somebody to 3 years jail term without option of even fine for faking NAFDAC regulated products. We have a judge in Kaduna sentenced somebody to 6 months for faking NAFDAC regulated products. On the same day that we got our Peking victory, we had another judge in Federal High Court in Akure, in Osun State, sentenced somebody to 1 year for beating up NAFDAC officials, obstructing federal officials in carrying out their duties. So the judiciary has been cooperating with us. We also had a major victory, a legal landmark, where we were represented by the senior advocate of Nigeria, Mike Ozekume, where the Court of Appeal ruled that NAFDAC can proceed against an individual both in a civil and in a criminal matter at the same time.
At the same simultaneously?
Simultaneously.
You can be running a civil trial as well as a criminal trial?
Yes, that was a landmark decision.
Okay.
That was a landmark decision that has gone into the reports. We have won so many other victories, and so I think the judiciary has cooperated with us very, very well. In fact, going ahead of the spirit of the law that we're suggesting, for the first time, After they convicted the Mapikin 3 mixture manufacturers, they also went ahead and confiscated their assets, just like we are suggesting in the law, in the new law. So I think the spirit of that law that we are reviewing has already taken over. It's already functioning with the cooperation with the judiciary. We're very thankful.
You see, life has just got easier. You stay connected to Channels TV, where news and innovations are shaping our world. Simply log on to channelstv.com to get the breaking news. Browse the homepage according to what matters to you. Tap on the extended coverage of business, sports, politics, lifestyle, infotech, entertainment, health, world news, and lots more. Click on the live link and see the news in real time. Do you want to watch the latest video of the day? It's just a click away. Friend us on Facebook, YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Google+, participate in Channels TV poll and share your comments. It's a website you can talk to. Your voice will be heard.
channelstv.com. The news at your fingertips.
That's our interview segment this week. Hopefully, the executive will deliberate speedily on the NAFDAC bill, send it to the National Assembly, after which Nigerians can then have their say in ensuring a well-rounded bill which will translate into an effective law geared at ridding the country of fake and counterfeit drugs. Don't forget that you can log on to YouTube/channelsweb to watch any part of the program that you missed, and you can send comments and questions via email, Facebook, or Twitter. I'm Shola Shoyeli. Thank you for watching.